know what I tell her with hella attitude. Do what you gotta do. Go up if you wanna up. Smoke up whoever you want to. Wait a minute when it might haunt you. And why you bringing in jail? Find the Lord. Cause it's time for this parole board. I stay strapped down, hold the cat down. Hit the floor. I'm coming up out of this motherfucker through the door. Niggas come when the money's abundant. But then start running when it ain't no fun. And when I'm walking,
what up, people? It's your boy ThaLiveKing coming at you with a quick video. Now, this is an NBA talk video because a lot of people out there, they don't really watch NBA basketball. They only watch what's on like ESPN or whatever, and they want to talk about like certain teams and shit, right? So you got a lot of people, you know, following the media, ESPN, all that stuff, and they always talk about certain teams. In the East, they'll talk about Boston, they'll talk about Philadelphia, and they'll talk about, now they're talking about the Raptors because Kawhi's there. But for some reason, they won't be talking about the Bucks. They'll occasionally bring up the Bucks because of Giannis, and they won't be talking about the Pacers. And I'm a Pacer fan, so like I see this coming every year. It doesn't matter how good or bad the Pacers are. The media just doesn't like to talk about them. There's a lot of talk about how the Raptors should have been playing on Christmas, but over the last 10 years or whatever, Indiana's had a lot of success over the years, and they've never played on Christmas. So they're always gonna have their favorites on who they want to play on Christmas. That's just the way it is. I just don't know why they had Portland and Utah as a 10:30 game. Like, that was a wash of a game anyway. But I'm looking down at the standings of the NBA, right? And I'm mainly looking at the Eastern Conference because I follow Eastern Conference basketball more than the Western Conference. And all you got to do when you look at the standings, you look at the wins, you look at the losses, games behind, and you look at the conference record, right? A lot of people aren't looking at the conference record when they're talking about contenders, right? Because, you know, the media is not talking about certain teams, so, you know, if the media is not talking about them, they're obviously not going to be doing anything. They're obviously not doing anything, which is false. So we're going to look at the conference records in the East, right? Raptors, 16-6. Milwaukee Bucks, 16-5. Indiana, 17-5. Philadelphia, 17-11. Boston, 15-7. I'm not even going to go down to the 6, 7, and 8 seeds because those teams, they're not going to really make any noise in the East, right? It's all about those top 5 teams. So just look at the conference record again of the Philadelphia 76ers. They probably played the most games against the Eastern Conference, and their record is 17-11. So Indiana lost 12 games, and they've only lost 5 of those games to Eastern Conference teams. Think about that. Philadelphia, they lost 13 games, and 11 of those losses came to Eastern Conference teams. So now, how do you look at that and think that Philadelphia is actually a contender in the Eastern Conference, right? Because they have, you know, Embiid, they have Ben Simmons who can't shoot, and they got Jimmy Butler. That is a serious issue right there when you're talking about contenders in the Eastern Conference, especially if you think the Eastern Conference is weak. A lot of these teams that are bottom, like Miami, I want Brooklyn to make the playoffs because I think they'll be scrappy. But when you have teams like Detroit, who's pretty much unpredictable, you got Charlotte, who a lot of these teams are unpredictable in the East. Miami don't even have their whole team. But look at their last 10. They're 7-3. Brooklyn is 9-1. These teams aren't going to be bad for long. Like once Miami gets healthy, they got Wade, they got Winslow running the point guard, and he's doing some crazy shit over there. The East is going to be no joke come playoff time. So if you can't win against the Eastern Conference, and if you have a 500 record against the East, nobody's going to put their money on you. Unless they're getting paid to talk about you, nobody's putting their money down to for you to advance into the come playoff time, right? Because I don't know if Charlotte's gonna get better, because Charlotte already they're just an up and down team. I know Miami and Brooklyn, they're playing better and better. Orlando, they were doing all right. The Wizards ain't gonna do anything. So if you're Philadelphia and you can't beat those top tier teams in the East, like we saw the game on Christmas, and those guys, I knew they were gonna lose that game because number one, they struggle against the Eastern Conference teams. Eastern Conference team play defense, right? So they know how to guard Ben Simmons. They're not going to show him any respect on the perimeter. So that's why they have to send Embiid to the perimeter to shoot threes, because Ben Simmons, he's more effective around the hoop. That's just not going to work come playoff time. I guarantee you that, especially against the good defensive teams like Toronto, Indiana, and Milwaukee. And the Celtics play some pretty good defense too, and they beat them without Baines. Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, use your head. Those guys are going to get exposed, man. And if Brooklyn even gets close to, like, say Philadelphia finishes third, right? Like they did last year. And Brooklyn can somehow get that 6th seed. Man, I want to see that matchup, man. I want to see if Philadelphia is going to be, you know, if they're going to get a bit, you know, shook by playing Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's scrappy, man. Right? You got to be consistent with defense with playing Brooklyn, because they just keep coming. So, I don't know. All these people talking about the Sixers, man, I don't see it. They probably finish with a good record because, the NBA favors their schedule. They give them favorable scheduling. So, yeah, they might finish at the top 3. But Indiana's been consistent all year, man. So, and they shouldn't even have lost those 2 games. Those guys came out playing like shit those last games, the 2 games that they lost. They really should be 11-0 in the last 11 games. Like, they should have really been 11 wins in a row. But, you know, the NBA season, things happen. So, but if you look at the West now, I got the West, and you got Denver, whose conference record is 13-6. Golden State is 13-9. And then you got OKC 11-10. Clippers are 15-10. The West is wide open, and Golden State's playing like trash, and they're second. Like, once they get their shit together and they get Boogie Cousins back, like you're still not gonna want to play them come playoff time. Lakers lost LeBron. They're not giving a timetable on that. They're just saying day to day. But you know, groin injuries, those things can go for like a week. They can go for 2 weeks. So who knows how they're gonna treat that for LeBron? So Lakers might not even make the playoffs, man. They might drop out of the playoffs by the time LeBron gets back. I'm thinking LeBron's gonna be out 2 weeks. You got Portland, who's playing like trash. Houston is starting to play a lot better now. So James Harden he's back into MVP mode. So they're gonna move up the standings. The only team I think is gonna, unless Sacramento drops off, which they probably could. San Antonio might be the odd team out. I think Memphis will probably get in. I want to see Dallas get in because I want to see Luka play in the playoffs. Right? I want some new blood in the West. I want to see what these young teams are gonna do. And the Nuggets, man, those guys are hard to beat anyway. So we'll see about that. Right? So I don't know, man. A lot of these guys, media's talking about certain teams and stuff like that being better than certain teams. All you gotta do is look at the conference record and see how good these teams really are. So, and then Embiid's been saying he's been playing like trash since Butler came in, because Butler's a ball dominant guy and he's been winning those close games for them. So we'll see how that goes. But Philadelphia is still a good team. They lost all that shooting, so they're much easier to guard. So if you have size to slow down Embiid a bit and keep him off the glass, Philadelphia is beatable, because they're going to end up relying on, hero ball by J.J. Redick. And if J.J. Redick gets hot, that opens up the whole floor for the Sixers. So you got to somewhat keep J.J. Redick in check. And then, keep Simmons off the glass, and he's pretty much useless out there. So I'm going to leave it at that. what do you guys think about the current standings in the NBA? Who are your favorites so far in the NBA? Leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Alright, I'm out. Peace.
And we can keep selling them, selling them, selling them. And we can keep selling them, selling them, selling them. And we can keep selling them, selling them, selling them. And we can keep selling them, selling them, selling them.